Hi, this is Dr. Richard Ruhling. I'm a retired physician, was board certified in internal medicine, had a cardiology fellowship at Good Samaritan Hospital in Phoenix before teaching health science at Loma Linda University. Also doing executive health. I developed health seminars designed to facilitate positive lifestyle changes that help reverse heart disease and actually diabetes and many other conditions as well. Authored the book, Why You Shouldn't Ask Your Doctor, and I'm here to help cut medical bills, feel better, and live longer. Health is wealth, but medical care is really not health care. Actually, there's an inverse relationship. The more you get of health care, the less you need of medical care. And the more you get of medical care, the worse the health often turns out. Health is our most valuable asset. Can't enjoy life without it. And if we don't feel good, nothing else really matters. So let's take care of ourselves. We now look at health care as what we can do for ourselves, not what the doctor does. So let's imagine that we're watching TV, enjoying the good life, and say you are enjoying what the TV commercials suggest, pizza, Coke, and you get some heartburn. And you ask your doctor, just like the ad says, he's happy to prescribe a purple pill. The TV ad said, heal the damage. So you try it, and you think it helps. You continue the good life and the prescription. Months pass, and you get a headache. You never had one like this before. It's quite severe. You go to the emergency. The tests and scans are all negative, so it's not a stroke or a brain tumor. And they give you a prescription for a headache. And they say, check with your doctor soon. When you see him in a couple weeks, maybe you mention the emergency visit, occasional headaches, but the pills seem to take care of it. And he says to continue and come back if you have any problems. Well, it might take months, might even take years, but you could die suddenly. And you might wonder, how could that be? But it was by ignoring a sign of toxicity, because the TV ad said headache, diarrhea, or abdominal pain. And when you got the headache, you needed to quit the drug that caused it. But you continued and you added another drug to mask the warning sign. Just something for pain, headache, but it's a bad idea and millions of people do it. It's called polypharmacy. Adverse drug reactions were responsible for 106,000 deaths in hospitals under monitored conditions. The drugs were properly prescribed and administered. That's the definition of an adverse drug effect. It's not malpractice. It's not an overdose. It's properly prescribed and taken. They just don't know. Some drugs are going to react that way with some people. This was in the Journal of the American Medical Association on tax day, April 15, 1998, about 20 years ago. But those 106,000 were in hospitals, and we might wonder how many people die at home. 199,000, according to Dr. Weingart, in the Western Journal of Medicine. This was published a couple years later. And that added together, inside the hospital and outside, makes 305,000 from prescriptions that are properly prescribed. And death is only one dimension. There were extra doctor visits, extra prescriptions. About 17 million went to the emergency room, and about half of them were admitted to the hospital, and almost half of them were transferred to long-term admissions, like nursing homes. Bad idea. These people were messed up for life, maybe. And 140 people are adversely affected for every one who dies. So this is a huge problem. And those figures are from 1998. From 98 through 2005, reported serious drug events increased 2.6-fold, and fatal drug events 2.7. So, and that was reported in 2007, but it was through 2005. Since we've come a few more years since then, a decade has passed, it really amounts to about a 7-fold increase instead of 2.7. And remember, we were talking about 305,000, so 7 times 305,000 is about 2 million people, but we don't hear about it. By the way, this is the curve, rather steep, showing on one side serious events, and these are in the years from 1998 to 2005. Okay, the steep line shows the increase in events and deaths. They're about parallel, and that was since Congress approved drug ads on TV. That was in 1997, just a year before. Multiplying the deaths in 98 times 7, it's 2 million plus, really, by 2018. And that's about 5,500 daily. It's like 2 9/11s daily. And when a U.S. Senator saw this, he said, you know, you're wasting your time. They own us. Speaking of the pharmaceutical donations to their congressional reelection. When 3 planes crashed on 9/11, the government grounded all planes, but they don't act now because they are blessed by so much help from the drug companies. Dr. Marcia Angel of New England Journal of Medicine, she's the editor at that time, told 60 Minutes that drug companies spent $400 million a year on Congress and their reelection campaigns. I visited the Congress until the senator said that I was wasting my time. And there's no money in healthy people, no money in dead people. The money's in between. In people who get any one of 100 chronic conditions for which people take a prescription to relieve their symptoms. When if they were wise, they could try to figure out the cause and eliminate it. But this is easier said than done. Cholesterol drugs are a disaster. Pfizer's new drug fulfilled its promise, increasing the good kind of cholesterol by 72%, reducing the bad by 24%, but deaths still rose 40%, reported in USA Today 2007, that's 10 years ago. Latest study on the purple pill found 3,000 patients 75 years of age were 44% more likely to develop dementia if they had been taking it regularly for 18 months. But 70% of those who did were considered inappropriate for the patient by a reviewer. In other words, he said they really didn't need that anyway. So, bad situation. Drugs are often linked to cancer deaths. When 27 men were biopsied and, with their prostate and had elevated prostate-specific antigen, but no cancer, they were treated with Proscar, a standard drug for benign prostatic hypertrophy, which means the prostate got bigger. Okay. A year later, 8 of the 27, which was 30%, had prostate cancer on biopsy, while only 1 of 25 in the control group did. This was reported, would you believe, in the British Journal. We won't tell about it here, but over in Britain they will. Okay. The FDA fails to regulate. The General Accounting Office reported during a decade of hundreds of drugs that were approved, half were found to be at high risk of heart failure, kidney failure, respiratory failure, or seizures. People think FDA drugs are safer than street drugs because of who's selling them, but the data says maybe not. Besides death, many more get sick, and the physician's desk reference is 3,500 pages, a large book with fine print. This is scientific medicine, showing what the adverse side effects might be, the contraindications to it, the drug interactions, carcinogenesis, which means some of them can cause cancer, pregnancy warnings. Your doctor can't possibly remember all of these effects. And so bottom line, that's what pharmacists are supposed to catch. When you go to you fill a prescription, they're supposed to check some of that out. Nexium, the adverse reactions. Now this is the purple pill, and I looked it up. You know, that's the ad used to say heal the damage, but this is rather serious. The abdomen is enlarged, allergic reaction, asthenia, back or chest pain, edema, hot flushes, fatigue, fever fatigue, flu-like malaise, hypertension, tachycardia, bowel irregularity, constipation, dyspepsia, dysphagia, epigastric pain, hiccup, gastroenteritis, melena, GI hemorrhage. And this is just 1/4 of the list. I counted them up, about 120 different effects from the pill that says heal the damage. Not good. And drug-related problems, so we looked at this list before, but it just again re-emphasizes lots of problems can come from prescriptions. And this was reported in the Western Journal of Medicine 18 years ago. The good news now is that God designed the body for self-healing, and that cuts, burns, bruises heal. Most conditions are reversible if we know how to cooperate with the body. The father of medicine, Hippocrates, said, nature cures, not the physician. Let your food be your medicine. On the first page of your Bible, these were the foods that were given to us, and our bodies recognize them as food, but they also recognize drugs as chemicals that are toxic to the system. Attending cardiology meetings, I became in touch with a speaker there by the name of Nathan Pritikin in the mid-70s. I visited his longevity center and invited him to speak at the university where I was. And this is one of the news notes. Medical World News showed that strict diets can get most adult diabetics off of insulin. 12 of 17 who had stopped taking their insulin, and 2 patients cut their dose in half, but all 23 who took the pills for diabetes, oral hypoglycemic, no longer needed it. So that's powerful. And similar results for high blood pressure. We might see that slide a little later. Suggestions for taking fewer drugs include trying a diet low in meat, cheese, eggs, sugar, salt, and oil. Reason that the oil coats the cells of the body and doesn't let the insulin in. But high in fruits and vegetables, these are the good things. Taper your drugs by taking 3 instead of 4 a day. If you're on some of them will be prescribed QID, means 4 times a day, or TID is 3 times a day. And just cut a little bit and see how you're doing. When you see your doctor, ask him if your blood pressure or blood sugar or cholesterol is okay. And if so, you can continue and maybe even cut a little more. Ask your nurse to recheck your blood pressure if it was high. Sometimes we're anxious when we go to the doctor, but rechecking later, it's not so high. If your doctor doesn't want you to taper, then look for another doctor who favors less drugs. And further help in the book that you got with this course, The Ministry of Healing. Return of many pilots to flying saved my company hundreds of thousands of dollars. This was a statement in the front of Pritikin's book on the Pritikin Program for Diet and Exercise. This is Dr. Alan Harper, or Richard Harper, can't remember. Met him in Atlanta, and he came to a seminar that I gave. He was saying in Pritikin's book that it establishes that in motivated people, what he means by that is people who will change their diet, nutritional therapy is more effective than the best conventional care, which means drugs, in dealing with degenerative disease. We've just seen the main reason why, and most important ones, why people see a doctor. If you can reverse heart disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes with diet and exercise, why would we want prescriptions anyway? If you don't have a cancer warning sign, you probably don't need the checkup. And why would you risk taking a drug for a chronic condition that you can probably find a remedy for on the internet? True health care is this. It's Dr. Breslow, Dean of UCLA School of Public Health. In a 10-year study, he found that people with 5 or 6 health habits had a 30-year advantage compared to overweight people who drank and smoked and broke all 7. It's contrasting. Actually, there were 7 rules, and they're summarized by this picture here. On the left side, this guy is saying no to smoking and no to alcohol, or only in moderation for drinking. Getting 7 or 8 hours sleep, half hour of exercise 3 times a week or more. Here's a little girl getting breakfast, and she's not overweight, according to Breslow's questionnaire of the Alameda County residents. And this lady is drinking 5 to 6 glasses of water a day. And the questionnaire also asks, are you happy? And so all that might be summarized by this acronym, New Start: nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, which means abstaining from the harmful things over here, and moderation in other lifestyle habits, air, pure air, not smoking, sleep, and trust in nature or in God. Breslow's study didn't address diet. A low-fat, low-cholesterol diet will reverse most conditions. Here's a front cover of the U.S. News and How to Reverse Heart Disease, reporting Dean Ornish. Dr. Ornish, a cardiologist in California, probably got his ideas from the same place I did, Pritikin in the 70s, but this was 1990 for Ornish. Confirming this concept, a cardiologist from Harvard said 90% of the people who ask him for a second opinion do not need coronary surgery. He said that on 60 Minutes. Here's my star witness is Salvatore Frascinella, a New York executive. He was 65 when he first came. He's a little older later when he sent me his picture. But he was too risky for bypass surgery, his cardiologist said. They had him taking 12 pills a day. He was getting worse, couldn't walk 2 blocks without chest pain. But he took my advice. He actually asked his doctor, and the doctor said, you'll die if you stop that medicine. But 8 weeks later, he was off all his medicines. He had resumed all former activities, including starting to play tennis. And I'm sorry, let me go back to that one. 26 years later, at 91, he was still on no drugs, and he said, you saved my life. How did he do it? Not on the Atkins diet. As this thermal scan shows, before the diet, high protein, shows pretty good circulation, but a year later on the Atkins diet, after taking it, his red area is smaller, less circulation, less heat to the heart, and actually Atkins has had lawsuits against him because of what it did to the heart on his diet, high protein. Not just cholesterol, high fat diet makes the blood sticky. The red blood cells stick together, don't circulate as well. They won't fold over into these capillaries to scoot through. So I had a patient that I admitted to the coronary care unit one night because I thought she was having a heart attack. But the next day, the symptoms had cleared up, and she didn't show any damage to the heart by her blood tests and cardiogram. And I asked, what did you eat before you came? Oh, she said, I just had a little fried chicken and a donut. What could you get more greasy that would make your blood sticky than that would actually simulate a heart attack? And if it had been, maybe if she eat more, she might have. Who knows? So a low-fat diet, though, helps the coronary flow. Notice this, poor circulation of the heart, but after following that diet for about a year, look at the increase, about double in the amount of red area to the heart. People need to be taught that drugs do not cure disease. It's true that they afford present relief. In most cases, though, the drug only changes the form and location of the disease. You might wonder, how is this so? Well, the book Ministered Healing, which that statement comes from, is my favorite book. It contains the wisdom of the great physician, written best ever according to Dr. Agatha Thrash. She was a pathologist, graduate of Emory. She and her husband was an internist, and they were atheists, but they completely changed their medical practice and their philosophy of life after reading this book. Here's another statement that supports the biblical wisdom. At Jerusalem, by the sheep market, there was a pool called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, and it had 5 porches. A vast multitude of impotent people, blind, halt, withered, were waiting for the movement of the water. It was commonly believed that an angel came down, troubled the water, and this is John, the 5th chapter of the Bible, and it was believed that whoever got into the water first was healed. Well, a certain man was there 38 years. Sad story, and Christ healed this man. But think of the situation. Here's people waiting for a ripple on the water, and then a stampede to get in real quick. Do we see the parallels? Bethesda, in John 5, place of healing, pool of water, promise of cure, stampede, and a message that Christ gave him, take up your bed and walk. But parallel today, Bethesda, Maryland, place of healing, National Institutes of Health. Our tax dollars are pooled there, and they promise a relief, not cure, though, because they don't have cures for things today. And stampede with the TV ads, get this drug, and the drugs are all we need, let us die in peace. That's about the message we get. And one more message from the Bible. This in Revelation 18th chapter, a call out of Babylon, a word that means confusion. Don't be partakers of her sins that you receive not of her plague, for by her sorceries were the nations deceived. The key thought here is the word sorceries in Greek is pharmakia. How could God know that 2,000 years ago, before they ever came along to develop pharmakia? It's very possible we bring the plagues on ourselves now. So, personal testimony. My wife had a bladder infection and didn't know what to do. Tried drinking water, cranberry juice, uva ursi, and herb. And she got impatient and went to her doctor, who prescribed an antibiotic for a urine infection. But she only took it as prescribed. She was a chiropractor's daughter, really didn't believe in prescriptions, but the symptoms went away. But about 6 months later, she had spots under her skin. And she went to see her doctor again, and he did a blood test. And he called the next morning urgently, wanting her to see the hematologist. Bottom line was she had, her platelets were wiped out. They're supposed to have 100 to 200,000 in the bloodstream. She had about 27,000 when she was first diagnosed. They dropped down to 10 and 5, and she died of a stroke. In spite of surgery, a splenectomy, high steroids, gamma globulin, blood transfusions, etc. So happily remarried now, but serious problems. And in closing, I want to summarize what we've been covering here. If you type into Google how much money is spent in a lifetime, the average person spends $1.5 to $2.5 million for food, clothing, shelter, appliances, entertainment, cars, kids' care, and their education, and medical care. The most dangerous of all is medical care, though it seems so necessary. In this short introduction, we've seen that we can literally be our own doctor, like Hippocrates' concept that food can be our medicine, but it's easier said than done. John D. Rockefeller would have given $1 million for a new stomach if he'd known what I know. And he could have had one because the body cells will renew themselves and heal if we cooperate with basic laws using 8 remedies that we've introduced. When we're young, we take our health for granted, and when we often abuse it, but at some point we need to take a closer look and turn the clock back with a better focus. Instead of spending $117,000 on a bypass operation, we can live better without it, and the package of information I'm offering you can help you do so, just like Salvatore, who got off 12 pills a day and outlived his cardiologist, for a small fraction of the cost. The president of the Mended Hearts Group Club in Chattanooga spent $12,000 at Pritikin's Longevity Center in California. He spent $7,000 for himself, $5,000 for his wife, but he told his group, Mended Hearts, before I spoke that if they attend my seminar series, they'll get about the same information. That was 30 years ago, and there's a lot of excellent information by a growing number of physicians who have focused in specific areas, like Dr. Amen, the New York Times bestseller, a huge success with his focus on brain health. Maybe you've heard him online. There are others, and actually I've put the best of the best together on some CDs that I'm offering you, and here are some of them in. Amen, I mentioned brain health. Dr. Barnard wrote the book on reversing diabetes. Dr. Blaylock, excitotoxins, the taste that kills. Colin Campbell wrote the China study, and shows how you can reverse it with diet, of cancer we're talking about. Dr. Esselstyn, cardiologist at the Cleveland Clinic on reversing heart disease. Joel Furman, outstanding, wrote the book on how to live, eat to live. And Michael Greger, some of you have seen him, humorist, got his on my CD here. Dr. Neil Nedley is excellent on emotional problems, #1, the #1 problem in the world. And I have my New Start concept with natural remedies and how to treat quite a number of conditions there. And then a couple different features with vegan recipes. Some coaches charge $25,000 a year. I believe I'm offering higher value, but not at $25,000, not $2,500, not even $250. Please get your Visa card ready for this, an opportunity of how you can live better, longer, and with a better outlook on life for only $97. And if we think we don't need this package, please consider how important that life and health is and how much we forget until we really own this lifestyle. This is the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. Actually, in an hour from now, after you leave, you'll know less than half of what we talked about. And a week later, it's maybe just a quarter of what we talked about. But having materials for a timely reminder can make a huge difference. If you get a reminder just a couple, 3 days from now, this will put you on a different curve than this forgetting curve. And if you take another second reminder, maybe 10 days from now, look at this. You will retain almost all of it. And if you take a third reminder, you probably do. This is talking about months later. So why not get this material and share it with your friends, basically. Total health package I'm offering includes 2 CDs and the best DVD I found, the best book I've ever read on health and happiness, my business card with a phone number on it for a 5 to 10 minute consult on any question you have, plus a bonus, an autographed copy of my book, Why You Shouldn't Ask Your Doctor, if you can pay now. But a payment plan if you can't, and we hate for money to be a problem with anybody. Here's my book, Why You Shouldn't Ask Your Doctor. It has 100 health topics arranged alphabetically from allergies and arthritis to vaccination and vomiting, with a page on each and some remedies, plus a link to an online natural remedies encyclopedia if you don't find the answer there. So, finishing out, Zig Ziglar used to say, I'll see you at the top. Let's aim for the top anyway, and I'll see you at the back of the room on the way there. Thank you for coming. God bless you.